Well, good afternoon from Willow, Alaska. Let me try to give you a quick tour here for those of you guys who are feeling bad about your windows. If you can see that, let me see if the my window's mostly covered by snow. That's the lake in front of our place. I think I got stuck trying to get down there already to get the grand dog out. It was about I don't know, four and a half feet of snow, and I put the snowshoes on because he went down there to frisbee, and I got stuck down in the yard. But this is today it's 32, and we saw a drip and an icicle forming, which is a happy moment for us because it's downhill from here. The days are over 12 hours long, and we're ready for it to melt. But I told you guys a couple weeks ago I was going to do a class for you on 3D rotary modeling. So I made a bunch of bowls. This is a walleye bowl I made out of birch, local birch, out of my firewood pile. So you can see it's got some perch on it, some bluegills, and some smaller walleyes. And then I had some problems with the feet, and I'll try to explain that why in a bit. And so I want to run through how to make that, because a bunch of you have been asking me about 3D rotary, and is it hard, difficult? And it's if you've done some 3D modeling, it's pretty easy if you can get your head kind of wrapped around it. That's a rotary pun. So let me I'm going to share some screens with you. So let me share this screen. There, I think this is pretty simple stuff, but let's get out of this. Stop that, and screen sharing has stopped. Okay, so let me share another screen with you. We'll open up a Spire here. And there we go. There's a Spire. All right. So you should be able to see a Spire right now. I'm going to open up this walleye bowl carving. And so the agenda today is what I want to do is show you the bowl finished, and then I'm going to dismantle it piece by piece, and then explain to you how the 3D modeling works in Spire, and hopefully give you enough. When you see that I can do it, you can too. So we'll see if we can give you enough guts to go try this sort of thing, because it's really not that complicated. So here's what that model looks like in a Spire of the same bowl. And you can see the way it actually sits on the CNC machine when it's carving is like this. This is also how the file is seen when you're designing it. But like every other aspect of the Spire, you can turn it and move it and do all that kind of stuff. But now here's the aha moment for you guys. And after this, about half of you will quit watching the video because you go, well, I can do that. So if you click on this little toggle, automatic wrapping in 3D view, on and off, we're going to toggle it off right now. And what it just did is it took the model, and it essentially, I get some paper here, that's why it's so noisy, but it essentially took that bowl and unwrapped it, if you can gather that sort of thing. So the way it sits on my CNC machine is it sits this way, which is what you were looking at a second ago. This is how it sits like this as it rotates. In that video I showed you, it covered that. And it sits like this. So what happens is this model never leaves the same Y point. So this is Y0 right here. And essentially this feeds through, and it goes back and forth and I wrap around the Y, so it just goes back and forth on the X, and the actual movement in the Y is rotational. So this is Y0, this is Y 1 inch, this is Y 2 inches, this is Y all the way and up. And if you look at the whole model, you can see this shows the whole circumference of this 8-inch bowl is 25.123 inches. So that is part of the magic of this whole thing. It's just essentially, if you looked at this model as a carpet that you're wrapping around something, that's how it works. And the CNC machine, the software, Spire, unwraps the carpet, lays it out, and it kind of slides the carpet through the y-axis, and then it never moves. And if you've seen some of those old CNC machines where the table moved and the head never moved, that's a little bit like what's happening here. So let's dismantle this. So what I want to show you, let's go into modeling here. And you can see here's the completed walleye bowl. Here's all the components. So I'm going to turn this off and go back to the components portion of this thing. So essentially what I did here, let's remove, I had some rocks here. I'll show you how I did that. You can see some of these rocks start to disappear. I did that during the practice run through. I also added some legs in here. I did them wrong before, and I'll show you how to do them right. So we'll take the legs off. And then I had this walleye mantle. It says walleye mantle. Well, this is one of the pieces I have on my Etsy store. A guy wanted an 8-foot walleye mantle with fish and everything in it, rocks and logs. And so this is actually an 8-foot model that I squished down and used in here, but it wasn't long enough, so I added the other rocks and walleye. So we'll take the mantle piece off, and then I added in this nice walleye, and then this is what's left is the bowl, the basic bowl design, and you just stacked it. So this is so much like working with other flat 3D models. So I'm going to turn this off. We're going to go back to a new folder, and I'm going to rebuild this from square one up, just so you can watch how it gets built, because what we just saw was it all going backwards. So let's turn this off. I'm not going to save that. We'll go to new, once I've got this sort of set up for that. Probably. So here's what happens. Let's go back and look at when you start a new rotational file. You'll go in and you'll say start a file like you do every other time, but you'll click right down here instead of single sided or double. You'll click on rotary. And in this case, the bowl is about 5 3/4 inches tall from bottom up, and it has an 8-inch diameter. So the log I was working with has a was 8.5 inches, but it was kind of egg shaped, and that's why I got. You can see, hopefully you can see this, but some of the cambium layers show through here, which I like. I like to see the color come through on the log, so I like to carve right to the edge of a log, so I pick up some of that. So 8.5 inch log. I set the model at 8 inches deep. I used the center axis, which is easier to find, especially on something that's egg shaped or not perfectly round. I just figure everything from the center axis up. And then I set the datum point XY in the middle of the log. So again, I can find that easier. I think I'll eventually migrate towards one end, but not quite there yet. So, and you can change. I do everything along the X axis because I'm wrapping the Y axis around. And that's that. So you get it all set up. A couple things happen when you set it up in layers. If you look here for a minute, it creates a rail for a 2-rail sweep, which is these blue lines you see right here on either side. It also gives you a bounding box, and we'll turn that on for a minute. You can see these red lines. Well, those bounding box is what's going to be used when you go to make tool paths. But we'll turn that off for right now, and we'll go back to the 2-rail sweep. And I will going to build we're going to build the bowl quick. So you can see up here, I've already built the bowl a couple times for some other people really quick, but I'm going to do it again for those of you who have not done this, and I'll go through the logic of how it works. So first off, I'm going to grab a little box over here. I have my snap tools on up here, toggling and snapping tools on. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to snap to the boundary box, and I'm going to snap to the other one. And I want the height to be 4 inches. So why? So the reason I want it to be 4 inches, remember I have 8 inches circumference, so I'm building a rotary model. I just want to work with the radius. So I'm going to build half of what the bowl looks like, and you cheaters can see what it looks like up here. But now I'll just show you how I did that, and you'll do it a little bit differently, but this is how I did it. So I'll start out with a small box down here. And then I'm going to grab my draw a circle, and I'm going to come up here. I'm going to put in a 1/2-inch circle right here, apply. And then I'm going to take that 1/2-inch circle and I'm going to pull it down below my radius, because remember, that's the maximum height we have to deal with. Okay, so we're going to stop that. Then I'm going to take this circle, I'm going to go into node editing, and I'm going to delete, hit the D key and the D key, and that's gone. I'm also going to delete that line and that vector. Okay, so then we will go in here and we're going to use this little thing, draw arc. And we're going to snap to there, and we're going to snap to there, and we're going to put a pretty little curve here in the bowl. No rocket science there. And then we're also going to, you guys saw the design, there's 2 of these up here. I'm going to copy this and paste it, drag it over here. You can see it snaps to the same height, which works good. And then I'm going to use my draw a curve vector. So when I originally did this, so I'm more of an artist than a machinist, so I'm not really exact about a lot of this stuff. My purpose with a rotary is to get artwork onto something like a bowl or a dish or a beer mug or something, and I want to do something that's not like you would see that a lathe guy can do. So I want to get my own artwork onto a mug. So these spaces I'm creating right here is where I'm going to put the artwork in, and that's where the fish ended up going. I'll show you in a minute. I did some similar bowls with grapes and some salmon, and I did one with flowers on it because people in my house like flowers apparently. So I also need a vector right here. I'm going to snap to there and snap down to here, close. So now I got to join all these vectors, and I'm going to grab this one first. I'm going to hit shift, click on that, join vector, join vector, join vector, shift on that, join vector, and then I've got to find this one down here and join vector one more time. So now what I should have is I should have created another version of that, just like these ones up here. So there's what the profile of my bowl would look like with a 4-inch radius. So let's get rid of this little bowl here, the dimension block I did, and I'll delete that. Then we're going to come to modeling, and we're going to come up here to create a shape by sweeping between 2 rail vectors. So we're going to click on that. That's what we want to do. We're going to click on this one first and this one second. If you do it and backwards, it'll reverse what your bowl lays out like. So we like how we selected those. And then it's telling us we need one more rail. So let's pick that new one more vector. Let's pick that one since we just did it. And then we're going to say we like that, so apply. And it made something. So let's ask us to show us what it made. So that's what it made right there. Okay. So we've now created a little bowl. Got it? And if we uncontrol that, we're right back to where we started. Okay. So that's 2-rail sweep. You're worried about doing rotary and stuff. Really, you're designing everything for the most part the same way you design anything in standard Spire design. The software really kind of takes care of the rotational part for you. So let's close that. So now I pulled in some other files in here. I did, for example, pull in this Walleye file, the mantle one, and I think I've already sized it. Yeah, there it is right there. So down here where we're working, I'm going to blow that up so you can see it. So it's interesting that it's stacked way up on top of it. But for you guys that understand this stuff, it's the order that you stack items in this part of your tool or model building matters. So if we put the walleyes after the bowl, then becomes additive or merges with them. So I kind of, but you can see some of it's not there. It's not quite deep enough. So we're 3.6. I'm going to take it out to 3.75 for the base height. That might be a little bit more than what I want to do, but maybe 7. So there's the Walleye ones added in there. You can see it doesn't cake up the whole bowl, and this is why I ended up adding in the other Walleye here. So there's this handsome fella. I just dropped him in there, and he's about to eat this little bluegill right here. But so we like that. But what is missing is that when you look at this thing, there's all this beautiful, walleyes hanging around rock piles and branches and all that kind of stuff. There's some really cool terrain issues here. So let's add in some more rocks here underneath. I'll show you how I did that really quick, and then we can kind of wrap this up. So the way I put in rocks, I'm gonna go back to drawing, and I'm gonna draw an ellipse. And I know my rocks are right, that bottom of that below the fish is right here below so let's just draw in an ellipse, and let's put another one in here, and a little one. That's almost a circle. We'll play with that a bit. And put one in here, a long one. Apply. Okay, so let's turn those into rocks now. So I'm going to take this one, I'm going to move it inside. So this is right at line 0 on your 360 degree radius. Anything that you extend beyond that will get clipped off and you won't see it. So there is a line where you have to be aware of that. So we'll go into edit mode. We'll make these look like rocks quick. And just stretch that one out. Make that look like a rock. And here's another rock. That. Make this rock that shape. Oh, maybe that's like that. This one's almost round. Like that. This one, did I do here? There's a nice rock. Here's a flat rock. Sometimes there's skipping stones in there, and you can. And here's another big one. We'll put that in here like this. And one more goofy looking rock there. So back at edit mode. So now if you'll watch down here, I'm going to add these in. I'm going to add in every other one right now. I'm going to put in that one, and this one, and this one, just for the sake of doing it quickly. And I'm going to go to modeling. I know that I have to have a base of about, well, let's see what happens at 3.9. I've made the 3.9 inch base. I have programmed in a curve here. It's going to be 0.24 inches above. So let's apply and see what shows up down here. Well, that didn't work very good. Well, that's because we had combined. So we're going to use this, and you'll see that worked pretty good, but I went too far with the rocks, and this one's over here interfering. So I'm going to reset, and I'm going to take this rock right here. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to delete it because I was just kind of guessing where they were anyway. And let's do that one. And this one, we'll hit apply again. And we're going to go 3.7. Still too much. 3.6. And that is still more rock than we want. So, and I think I'm going to just make that rock just a lot smaller. Put it right there. Move it this way a bit. Boom. 3.868, apply. So there's a few rocks. Let's start a couple new ones here. We'll put this one and this one. We haven't done the long one yet. We'll do it also. We'll hit apply. That's kind of, but we're going to make those less. You don't want to cover up the walleye's fin right there. So we're going to take this down to 3.8. Maybe a little less, 374. So now we have this, we have to put some rocks down here. You guys can play with those. You can put other branches in. So let's leave that. Let's do the next thing here. I really like the way those legs look on the bowl, and there's no legs in this bowl. So let me show you how I put those in quick, and then we'll really kind of be done. So let's go back to drawing. I'm going to grab right here. We know the legs come up to this lip that I have right here. You can see it in the modeling. So I'm going to grab right here. I'm going to come up to the lip, and I want it to be 1 inch right here, 1 inch wide. So it's a 2 inch high, 1 inch high lip. We're going to hit apply. And I know I want 4 legs. So I'm going to take one, I'm going to hit copy, paste that down here, paste. I'm going to paste another one. Goes down here somewhere and paste. And move another one down here somewhere. So it's quite likely I haven't spaced those correctly. So I'll show you how I do spacing really quick. So this is a 25.13 is the circumference. Now we have 4 1 inch legs. So let's take, that leaves us also with 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces where the legs have to fit in. So that if we take out 4 inches, we basically have 21 inches left of space for that. Divided by 4, that's 5 1/4, right? So we're going to build a little spacer for us here. We're going to go this big, and we're going to say 2 inches by 0.5. So it's a 5 1/4 apply. So we now have here a little tool just to space these. So we'll snap them against the first leg. And you can see I set the first leg right against the 0 rotational mark. And then the rest of them have to be that distance away. So we're going to take the second leg and move it right up against that, snap it against it. And you can see I went up a little bit. So I got to get that to come down here a bit. There we go. Little juggling going on. Snap this in place again, and we'll move this leg here. You guys might want to make the legs a different shape when you do this. The nice thing is I wanted the legs to be kind of flat on the surface because there's so much nice round space on these bowls. There's a lot of, so to have a little geometric. Okay, so I've now spaced in just a couple minutes. I managed to space those out. Becky would probably just do the math and hit arrange. She would use one of these tools down here to arrange them at a certain distance, but I didn't. And that's why she's Becky. She's amazing. So let's copy all those for a minute and let's go back to modeling. So I've got those 4 leg vectors clicked on, and you can see when I hit modeling, I have a rounding in here. I don't really want that. I want them to be, so I'm going to plug in 0 right here. And I'm going to say 7.5. And I want this to be 0 as well. And apply. So now you can see that I ended up, we know that this is a 1/2 inch circle right here. So the radius of it is 0.25. I had a 4 inch diameter bowl. So 3.75 should bring these legs right up against that part of it. So we've now, there's our, let's just type in legs, apply, hit close. So now we should be able to see if we got our spacing right. Let's take a look. Let's see how the whole thing looks in the round. And there's how it, this is one of the inherent challenges with, excuse me, doing rotary carving is that these legs demonstrate what's going on here. There's a whatever artwork you put out here will have a radius on it. And so if you make the artwork too deep, that radius starts to distort it. And depending on how, if it's too small of a radius, it distorts it. So a lot of times I'll end up having to stretch my artwork out to make it look right, depending on the radius that we're working in. But so basically, I would just take this piece right now, then I would add in a new level. I like it. You might play with it a bit more on how you want to lay out. Then I would come up here and I'd hit create component. So I just doubled down on the bowl. I'm going to turn off the components. Now I keep all the components because one of the things I did was I took the exact same bowl design and I put flowers in it and a bunch of salmon in it for up here for our art gallery up here. And then I would just relabel this as, I'd rename this as Walleye bowl 8-inch ready to carve. And I would save that. So I was going to put these on my Etsy store, but this model is about 12 times bigger, the amount of data in it, than the same walleye model is, the same mantelpiece model. It's 12 times bigger, so they're just too big to move these rotary files around. I'll figure out how to do it eventually, but that's the basics of doing rotary stuff. So I hope you guys, it's very similar to what we do before. If you get the concept of that you're rotating, I get this piece of paper out and go, there's your model, and it just sits there and it wraps around the axis. So if you can get that concept in your head, rotary is a lot of fun. I wish I had some other pieces up here. I got some cool, I did beer mugs last year sort of thing before I rebuilt my rotary. So I'll be having a lot of fun with it. I hope you guys try it. It is just a hoot. So come to Alaska and see us sometime. You can, let me show you I'm going to share one more screen with you quick. So you also know how to track me down. Let me see here. There's my Scott Art CNC Etsy store. So you guys can track me down there. Top seller is Bigfoot, by the way. I don't know why so many of you guys believe in Bigfoot, but it's a lot of fun. So stop in and say hi. You can track me down there. I'm on most of the forums all the time. So drop me a note, say hi, let me know what I can do to help. It's just fun working on this stuff together. So go make some sawdust.